and I'm gonna add to your point. Like
Mhm.
I've said this before. Like when I'm on here, I say it before. Now I have a 5. Now the one thing that I've learned when
Mhm.
it came down to me having my daughter, good leadership starts at home.
Yes.
So when good leadership starts at home, that's when it brings into work, right? And learning how to maintain leadership at home and at work brings out success because
Mm.
you know what can cause issues, what can cause
Mhm.
problems, what can cause like good things, bad things, whatever. It
Mhm.
can, it could do everything for you. If you know and differentiate between, you know, good leadership and bad leadership.
Mhm.
And if you're not being a good leader at home, you're not going to be a good leader. There we go.
Let's
Now I
see.
can hear
You got it?
you. Yep.
Yay!
I
I'm
figured
Darrell.
I was trying something different. I wanted to use something different, but I was like, let's give it a shot. But it failed on me, so I had to go back to
It's
this.
okay. Hey, we never know unless we fail, right?
Yep.
That happens to me all the time.
Yeah, that's right.
I've been having some technology things. So sorry for like the few minutes. It's like I forgot my tripod. I had just been traveling. I'm like, ah, so like my camera was down here and then it was up here. I was like, I know I need to go get it. So sorry for the delay.
Oh, that's good. Oh, you good. You good. Literally, I've been home probably about 30 minutes now, so I'm just trying to get settled too. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Oh,
so,
glad. I don't know
so-
how my camera is. Is it looking straight? I don't know.
you
Like I
good?
just, you
Oh yeah,
good?
you good. You good. You
Okay.
good. You good.
Awesome.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's a Monday, but a good Monday. So I'm excited for the week, but also it's kind of like, oh, everything's coming right at me.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
it's actually not bad. I've gotten better. I've actually gotten into the habit of Sunday nights looking at my whole week ahead and really starting
Absolutely.
to put the alarms on.
Yes.
So it's been working well. So I'm excited. How about you?
Oh, good. It's good. All good here. Like I literally have to do the same thing as you do. Like I have to literally look at the calendar
Yeah.
for the week and see what's going on. And because I do forget too. Like I have to,
Yeah.
throw little reminders out there. I have to throw, a lot of reminders out there because I do forget. So yeah,
Oh, for real. I
too
mean,
much going on.
yeah, I can't even trust like, like give me the 5 minute reminder from the calendar. So
Nope.
I literally put
Mm-mm.
the alarms on and I'm like, okay, there's an alarm going on. I need to check. I need to check. So, yeah, no, I mean, I think it's part of the virtual world
Hmm.
because it's easy to sometimes like forget because like you don't have to think about the drive and that. So
Right.
it's like unless that's it, like, oh, wait.
Yeah. And that's what happens. And I'm like, nah, you can't take the chances on that. So you have to kind of, you know, really
I
throw
got
real
you.
reminders out there. So yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's all good though. I can't even
Yeah.
complain. So I'm
Yeah,
good.
where are you joining from? Where are you at?
Where am I at? Located?
Yeah.
I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Oh, okay. I'm in Atlanta.
Oh wow. I don't
Yeah.
know why I thought you was in California for some odd reason.
No, see, most people think I'm in Texas, and I've had a few California ones, but no, ATL. I've been
Oh,
here for
okay.
about almost 40 years.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
Sheesh,
Like
Shabbat.
I think I had someone on here recently that's in Atlanta. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
been I've had the different ones. I have California, I've had Atlanta, I had um international. I think I had Australia, I think, and
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I've quite a few. So
The
yeah.
Australians are getting out there. I've been in like, I think
Hmm.
probably about 10 Australian
Mm.
podcasts, at least 10, 10.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
they expanding, so it's
Yeah.
interesting. It's
Yeah, they
interesting.
are.
So
Like,
yeah,
okay,
give them
let's go
that.
Australia.
There you go.
Send me an
That's
invite.
yes, yes. Like I ain't tripping on that one, so that's
Yeah.
good. All right. So we can go ahead and get started. I already done hit the record button before we joined in, so we can go ahead and just have a good one and let's do it.
Let's go.
So it's your floor now. You go ahead and introduce yourself and what you do now.
Okay. So, hi, I'm Hanna Bauer. I am the founder and lead strategist for HEARTnomics. And HEARTnomics, we are a practice that helps leaders that don't just want to do the thing, but want to do the right thing and do it right. So that means transformation through love and excellence, to where it is your leadership that both leads the people to, so you can have a human-centric, very engaged workforce, and also the systems that need to be part of it, the systems and the processes. So the operational excellence and the operational structure that's needed. So we believe in Heartnomics that leadership is really the what raises up and what lets us be able to do what we do together with both systems and people.
Absolutely. So you kind of bring like the leadership style of
Yeah.
what you do.
Yeah.
Um, I want to get into your uh background. I think there was something that I saw that you had like I understand that you had some kind of what was it like some kind of heart surgery or something like that?
Yeah. Heart disease.
Wow.
So actually, that's my philosophy behind that. So
Okay.
Heartnomics, it is from it's the economy of the heart.
Hmm.
But I learned quite a bit of my lessons is actually in my book. I have the framework heart
Yeah.
and the methodology beat. It actually was came out of being in a hospital bed, and that was I was diagnosed about the age of 4 due to a collapse. I was an undiagnosed underlying heart condition. What would happen is my heart would go into tachycardia. For those of you that may not know what that is, it's like it goes super fast. It will go from like 60, essentially what you experience when you're going on a treadmill at
Yeah.
zone 5 and your heart's going fast. So, but mine would go fast without being on a treadmill. It could be because of a sneeze. It could be sleeping in the middle of the night. So it would go into like that zone 5 of your heartbeat
Yeah.
suddenly. So that was a tachycardia. They couldn't really forecast what would happen. And the other thing that would happen would be it would go into arrhythmia. And arrhythmia is when it suddenly goes fast and it goes slow and it goes fast and it goes slow. So arrhythmia being out of rhythm. So for those of you, how did it feel like? Kind of like when you stop in the treadmill and you know, like that little
Yeah.
bit while you're trying to like your heart starting to slow down and it feels a bit uncomfortable. You're like out of breath. So
Hmm.
that's how my heart would feel. So that was me growing up from the age of 4 up until the age of 14. And what did that look like for me? It looked like for me and my family looking for a cure that did not yet exist. A lot of people say, well, that was not congenital. It was not because of lifestyle. I mean, I was 4. I mean, sure, I wanted to go to the
Yeah.
playground, but it wasn't something that, would cause a stress, which a lot of people associate heart disease with, right? Stress or the diet and exercise. There wasn't much research at the time, and not only heart disease and for women, but much less for children, because it just wasn't something that affected children. So for the next 10 years for us, it really was a everyday, day to day, going through these episodes that could last a few minutes to days,
Hmm.
sometimes weeks. So just kind of like you've been on a treadmill, you've been working out a lot, and your heart has been going super fast. I was feeling exhausted because it wouldn't stop.
Right.
The treadmill wouldn't stop at all. So by the age of 10, I had had 2 heart attacks. By the age of 12, I was having my first open heart surgery. I was having in a heart cath. I was going through a lot of CCU cardiac care units. And when I was 14 in 1992, there was an
Hmm.
opportunity to do a never been done innovative heart surgery, which is called an ablation. And some of your
Yeah.
listeners might know about it. Like, oh yeah, I know somebody who had it, or like this is something that's common now. Well, it wasn't in 1992. And I was one of the first child actually to have this surgery, which I didn't even know the impact of it until about 20 years later when they called me to say, hey, not only you're the first one, but now 3,000 other kids have been saved by it as well. And they wanted to do a 20-year documentary on the
Hmm.
surgery itself. So that's really where everything kind of came in for me,
Yeah.
because there was we don't learn just by experience, we learn by reviewed experience. As
Correct.
a kid, I didn't understand everything that was going on. I was just trying to breathe and, live day by day. But there were a lot of things that I did as a child to survive that later on I realized there were patterns that I was doing the same way to survive as an entrepreneur and as a leader, as a mom. So those are the lessons that I bring in to Heartnomics, where it wasn't just there was no cure in sight. So what kept me alive? Well, that was the leadership, the love of people that were there that would not give up. But also, how did we get to a cure? Through a lot of failure, by being able
Yeah.
to learn from those failures. And that's how I help today.
What was going through your mind when all of this was happening from the age of 4 to like 14? What
Well,
was going through your mind?
I can't really say what was going on at the age of 4,
Okay.
because at the 4 or 5, what I can tell you is not understanding the condition. Later on, I understand it. But do you, I didn't know things were okay unless my mom and my grandmother would tell me they were okay, because it felt like, um, I mean, I wasn't able to breathe. I would collapse. I would literally be blue. So as a kid, and I do remember 6, 7,
Mhm.
just not be always being different than other
Right.
other kids, because I couldn't go to school regularly. There was a lot of things I couldn't do. I couldn't go in the playground. I didn't know what it was like to be on a team. I didn't know what it was like to be picked to play baseball or soccer or anything like that, because I couldn't do even almost the basic things, right? Like just getting up
Right.
by myself and going to the bathroom. So like just basic as a kid. So I learned to rely a lot on the people around me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, in my mind, I didn't want to be stopped by what was going on. In a heart disease, you can't tell people when you're looking at them, oh, they got heart disease. So a big part of me, what was going through my head was, I hope nobody knows so that I can participate with everybody else. Because the moment they knew I had a heart disease, I was kept on the sidelines. But if as long as they didn't know, I could maybe get away with running. I could maybe get
Mhm.
away with going to school that day. I
Yeah.
could maybe get away with doing these things that seem normal. So that was, as a kid, that's what was going in my head. How can I best mask it so that I get to do the things that other kids normally get to do?
And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And we talk about um how this all really just, like you say, unexpectedly just hit. And when you talk about the fear, like you didn't feel the fear or anything, or you really couldn't remember. I think as I'm thinking about it, I remember at school
Mm-hmm.
that there was a classmate of mine, and it seemed like I couldn't really pinpoint it, and I really couldn't get the information like how I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed like the same fella was going through the same exact same things you was going
Mm.
through. And I'm trying to think about it. And when you was talking and I was thinking about it, I said, this sounds like this dude that was actually going through the same thing, because I think he had heart disease. He missed a lot of time in class. And I think he only showed up like, Lord, maybe, I think out of the whole school year, he only showed up like maybe 10 days,
Yeah.
and yeah, maybe 12, and had to repeat eighth grade.
Mm.
And it was like frustration. He was very frustrated
Yeah.
with, how that was, impacting his life, because the doctors kept telling him, hey, you can't do anything. You can't
Mm-hmm.
really go to school. You can't go to, do anything active like how you want to. And
Yeah.
if you did do it, it could cause more
Yeah.
problems. And he just
Yeah.
threw out there, I'm suing. I'm suing. So it was like, my thing is, my question is this: it's like, when people go through things like that, like you may
Yeah.
not know like 100%, but in your opinion, when people go through things like that, what is it that, you know, they could really do like at home, like if they could really control the whole aspect of it? Can they really actually like, do something to try to get better? Or this was just something I was curious about.
Well, let me think about it. You don't really control your heartbeat. So your
No, you
heartbeat is
don't.
completely subconscious. There's not like there's nothing you can do. There's literally the brain is a ticker. There's all these things. So I couldn't do anything, even like stay calm, don't get stressed. Well, I
Oh
wasn't
man.
stressed in the middle of me sleeping, and it still went into tachycardia. So there wasn't
Mm,
like really certain things. Of course, there were some home remedies for me that would work, like throwing ice in my face, shocking me. I had to hold my breath to reset, like just like that, and basically shut my entire body down so that my heart would then beat again, in a regular
mm,
rhythm. So there were things like that. But what can I tell you for your audience that maybe not going through heart disease, but are going through different things like really feel out of your control? Number one thing is that you like what you've mentioned. What can you control in those times? For me, it was controlling my breath. And I would say breathing through a lot of the things, even later on in life, that
yeah.
was a skill that
Mm,
really helped me in good times and it helped me in bad times. It really carried me through because really the breath is such a gift that we have. And really for me, that was the sign that the doctors knew I was alive. So if I was
right.
breathing. So you're breathing, you're alive. And guess what? You get to control that breath. And that in itself for me was very empowering at a time where everything inside internally, I had no control. What did the breath do? It allowed me to pause. It allowed me to recenter. It allowed me to hear the voices of the
Hmm.
people that really loved me, that cared for me, like my grandmother, who would
Hmm.
be there during these episodes that were horrible. I mean, how did it feel like? It felt like my head was being held underwater and I didn't
Uh,
know when I would come up. So to have just her hand, to have just her voice, and in the moment that I could breathe, reminded me of that. It opened me up to listen to the voices around me that believed in me,
mhm,
that believed for me, and that were willing to step into the crisis with me. So I would tell that to the audience. You have somebody, we all have somebody, a
mhm,
voice. We all have that. But sometimes you do have to just control that breath so you can hear those voices around you, so you can see the people that are around you that are willing to go into the crisis with you so that you're able to take the next breath and then take the next breath. So that's what I would say.
yeah, absolutely. So I decided I'm going to name this little episode here, Why People Resist Change Even When They. So, so the next thing I really want to ask is, why do people fight that change when they know it's
It's
necessary?
it's scary.
Yeah, of course it is.
It's just flat out scary. I mean, first of all, you may not have proof of concept. Like, do we really know if I make this change, something's
Hmm.
going to change, or at least change the direction I wanted to change it in,
Right,
because
right.
a change is going to happen, right? So, but is it going to take me where I want to go? So a lot of times, why are we afraid of that change? Because we don't really know where we want to go. And when you know where you want to go, when you know what is that transformation, and that's why I call, with my company, that's what we do, transformation through love and excellence. There is a transformation. Every change, we can change, you can look around, you can change a whole lot of things. Should you change everything? No, you need to change those things that matter. And how are you going to know that is by knowing what's the transformation that you want to see. What is it? What should if I do this, what is going to be the result? And I think that's really one of the reasons why we don't change. One, we're scared, we're exhausted. I mean, it's just exhausting. I'm barely keeping up with what I have. How in the world am I going to do one more thing? And change does require that. Change requires monitoring. Change requires a lot of things. I mean, that's what happened even with me with my heart, right? I mean, there was
Yeah.
times where I was just concentrating on the breath. And yes, there were loving people that say, "Hey, don't worry about it." Even school, you can't do that. But there was more in me, and there was a lot more. My mom was a chemical engineer. So she was one of the first women that got to graduate with that degree back in Peru. So she had very high standards. So for me, not to be able to go to school, being her daughter, I wanted to also be there and value and be educated like my mom was. Yet I
Mhm.
was physically not able to. But that tension of, hey, I know there's more in me. I didn't want to be a chemical engineer. It's never good in science and math. So that wasn't the deal, but
Right.
I did want to be more.
Right.
So that more in a time where I was still surviving even gave me the umph to want to change or do something beyond what my circumstance was saying. And I will say the same thing with change and people is it's okay to have that frustration. There's a frustration you're having right now. there's some sort of tension that you're having right now. And it's worth it looking into that frustration because that frustration in itself is the key to what does need to be changed. And for me, I basically had to take my environment to be my learning place. That's where, like I said, my book came from that. Like
Yeah.
there were a lot of things I
Yeah.
couldn't control, but I could
Mhm.
control this. I could control what was in my head. I could
Mhm.
make a simple conversation with my nurse that day be my classroom or the doctor, or I learned about radiology. I learned about
Yeah.
all these things, right? I learned about human behavior and development and the things that really did matter. Every volunteer, their stories. So I made my bed in a sense, a
Yeah.
learning piece. So when I
Mhm.
did get out there and I did get a chance to go to school and I did get a chance to go do the stuff, I was even more ready to be able to grasp things. And I did. I mean, eventually I did get to go to university, fully paid scholarship. I did get to lead a company. Which company? It was an education. And I didn't just get to lead an educational company. I got to be elected in DC to help the entire sector for every child in the United States for K through 12. This girl,
Wow.
your girl,
Yeah.
who there
Yeah.
were periods in my life I wasn't allowed to go to school. So I believe transformation is possible. And I'm telling you, for all those of you you're hearing, I mean, like this is I learned those skills
Mhm.
in my hospital bed. And it is very much possible, the ability to change when I literally had to be tied. Like I couldn't sit up. For anybody who has had a stress test, you know that you take a stress test laying down, then you sit up, then you stand up, and then you walk. Well, I would fail every time between the laying down and sitting up. So a
Wow.
lot of my years, I had to be laying down, and for my safety. So understanding that, yes, it is possible, even at times when you have to sit down, even at times you have to lay down because of the circumstance, to still be open to transformation that's going to help you in the future.
Yeah. And like you said, at the very beginning, like it's scary. It's
Yeah.
very scary. And I feel that scariness, like even if you didn't have heart trouble,
Hmm.
even if, you know, it's a career change or, you know, anything of that sort, it can be one of those scary positions to put yourself in.
Oh, yes.
But then it's like, but then at the same time, it could be like, ooh, there could be some good things like you've experienced. There's some good advantages to learning and making that change, but then there could be some downfalls.
Right.
Like you've mentioned also, you've
Yeah.
mentioned both sides of the spectrum that there could be some good things, but then there's going to be some bad things that can
Oh,
happen. And what would you say to those that, you know, thinking about the downside, the downfall? What would be the type of thing that you would say to someone that, like, you know, it's hard for me to deal with this? Like, how can you do it, but I can't do it? What is it you tell them in that sense?
well, having gone through two heart attacks, I would say, is this as serious as a heart attack? First of all.
Yes, yes,
So I
yes.
think the first one is you're asking yourself, is this really as bad as I think it is? Because sometimes like
Mm-hmm.
just the thought of it is so
It
scary. But
is.
I say, like, really, what's the worst thing that could happen? You know?
Mm-hmm.
So like if I do this, let's look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if this is a change, what's the worst thing? Is this somebody's gonna unfriend me on Facebook, or is this I'm not gonna be able to pay my mortgage this month?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
which one is it? And I think that just even putting into perspective is, yeah, of course, I don't want to lose him as a friend on my Facebook page, but hey, it happens, right? And if
it
I
happens.
do, are there enough people that do like me that can still support me versus if I lose my mortgage and I have kids, it's gonna look really bad. And it can be a lot of different people that I really love, like my kids, be impacted by
Yeah,
it. So
yeah.
I would ask that. And I think there's really with change is that not all change is the same, right? Not all
Correct,
change is created equal.
correct.
So understanding that, yeah, is it as serious as a heart attack? Is this really going to be like, and at times it was. For me,
Yeah,
at times, getting up from bed could mean a heart attack and heart failure. So you also have to understand the time. that this is happening in. It may not be all the time. And maybe that was true. Maybe it was as serious as a heart attack back 5 years ago or
Yeah.
back when 10 years ago. But is it the same seriousness today?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we confuse that because we're like, oh, back then, or this happened back then. But
Mm-hmm.
maybe you were a kid. Maybe you didn't have the skills that you have today.
Right.
You hadn't gone through that experience. So change, although it might be the same thing that you wanted to do, may look different because you're in a different time, in a different season that
Mm-hmm.
you do it. So I would look at those things, the seriousness, right? Is, what is the true impact of this? And then the other one, the season, because a lot of changes sometimes it's like, it's good, but it's like you look at the weather, we change clothes all the time, right? I mean, but
Yeah.
would I have a favorite coat, but would I put it on right now in the summer? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I still change, but this is not the right time.
Right.
It's not gonna, I may not even like it by 2 hours into it because I will feel so hot and it's still the right coat. It's still the one that I like. It's still everything. It's just the wrong time. So I would say
Mm-hmm.
that for anybody who's going in, look at the impact. What is really the worst thing that can happen? And then the other one said, look at the time. Look at the season that you're in, because those
Mm-hmm.
two will tell you the change and also take away some of the scariness. And it's like, hey, it is a different time, or you know what? This can wait for this time, but give it a date, give it a time. When will you come back to it? When will you know? I mean, and that's actually the third thing. A lot of times we're scared of both success and failures because we don't know what
Yes.
success or failure is. So,
Mm-hmm.
what is success to you today? Do you know today? Because it's the only guarantee we have. How do you know you're successful today? And also, how do you know you failed? Were you able to catch the failures of today? What were the breakdowns? Did you have a way to catch them? So that would be the other part, is understanding that whatever I do, change or no change, remember, those are both decisions. If I choose not to
Yeah.
change, that's still a decision because
Mm-hmm.
everything else around us is changing. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing in this world that is not changing. The weather changes, the climate's
Yes.
changing,
Yes.
everything in the new, your entire world has changed,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the technology age that we live. So we know it's not going to slow anything down.
Mm-hmm.
So understanding that you're not making a decision for change or adapting to whatever is
Mm-hmm.
happening is still a decision and it's still going to impact you because everything else did.
Right. Right. I'm gonna share this little small true story. I'm
Uh-huh.
just gonna do that real quick. So just bear with me. So back in, I want to say, '97. I was
Hmm.
only I was only, I think, 9 at the time, and I was spending the weekend with my grandparents at the time. So normally we go and spend the weekend,
Hmm.
with them, whatever. And this one particular weekend, um, I was asleep, and my grandfather, he had heart trouble, and seemed like heart trouble just runs in the family, mine's anyway.
Hmm.
And I was asleep and didn't know what was going on because I was knocked out, like didn't hear it.
Yeah.
But I'm just going off of what was being told by me. So when I was asleep, my grandfather had started getting hot, right? He
Mm-hmm.
got hot. He got up from the bed, went to the bathroom. When he shut the bathroom door, he stumbled,
Mm.
lost his balance, fell straight into the bathtub. Fell straight into the bathtub. My aunt and my grandmother both heard that. So they ran to the bathroom and no response for maybe 30 seconds. So he ended up waking up. He was fine, right? He was fine. He got up, went back into the bedroom, and so they decided, okay, we need to get him to the hospital. We need to get him to the hospital. So he did fine. He changed his clothes. He did everything fine. He did everything, you know, just as normal. It wasn't until they was on the way to the hospital, they was literally 5 minutes away from the hospital. he had breathing trouble. He
Mm.
couldn't breathe
Mhm.
at all. So he was before that, he was already fluctuating between, hey, you know, cut the air off, cut the air on, cut the air off. This
Yeah.
was in July. So it
Yeah.
was hot.
Yeah.
So he was fluctuating between that, and that's when he just couldn't breathe at all. He just stopped
Yeah.
breathing. So they got him in, and I think it was maybe 25, 30 minutes later, he died. Heart disease. Just,
Mm.
yeah, he died. And didn't know nothing about it. Sleep. I'm asleep. And got woken up saying that he passed. And because literally what hit me was because I literally had a full blown conversation with him the night before he passed. We were
Mm.
sitting in the room. We was just talking. We were just talking. We
Mm.
just talking about anything, any and
Mm.
everything.
Mm.
And we had that conversation. And then next thing I know, sister wakes me up saying, "Hey, he's dead,"
Mm.
and just took me away.
Mm.
Took me away because of all the conversations we had literally just had
Mm.
hours,
Mhm.
you know, for all that.
Mhm.
And the thing that hit me the most is I got to learn and figure out, what it is that why are we having these issues? What can I do, to break the barrier of these heart issues that we're having and things like that? But if it's base conditioned off family, then odds 50-50, you're probably going to get heart disease. Maybe 50-50, you'll get cancer. 50-50, maybe you'll, be a type 2 diabetic,
Mhm.
and apparently not. I am a type 2 diabetic. But
Mm.
um, I wanted to know, like, any diets that would help with that. What would help anything, like, when it comes to like heart disease? Like, I know there are things we talk about what we can control,
Mhm.
but the things that we can eat too,
Oh
it's
yeah.
like can be a big medicine too. So it's just like that was a hard question that I had to ask myself.
Mhm.
And I just needed like clarification on, like, man, is there like something that can help with, rather if it's the food thing, rather if it's drinks or anything of that. Like, I know medication could take you so far, but it's like food.
Yeah.
Like, what can that be? What is it that, because so many of our family members, they suffer through heart disease too. We have these
Yeah.
heart issues and stuff like that. It could be frustrating. And
Oh,
that's what I see, and just
yeah.
like it's just frustrating. Like, how?
Yeah. So let me tell you a couple of things, right?
Okay.
Because that was the beginning of my story, but that wasn't
Mhm.
the full part of what the Heartnomics came in because
Yeah.
like the whole thing with the beginning, right? I mean, as a kid, there was nothing I could do about it, like in a
Yeah.
sense. I mean, it wasn't my case, it wasn't congenital. They say maybe it was like a cold virus that got into my bloodstream that caused this.
Mhm.
So it felt like, hey, everybody's on my team. I was a kid. There wasn't anything that I did to, let's say, get this onset, right? It was more, I was in a sense a responding to a circumstance that was happening to me, but not like that I really had, or Hannah, if you had only done this, maybe that wouldn't have happened, right?
Right.
So the let's say the shame and the guilt that come a lot of times with disease didn't come in that time, but then it did come in later. It did come in
Yeah.
later because that's, again, I didn't even know the impact until the hospital called me and they wanted to do the 20-year. And as I'm sitting there and I'm going back to, well, how did it feel like? And I started describing how it felt like. I'm here now from my doctor and all this
Mhm.
stuff. And then suddenly this eerie moment came to me, right, when I was both listening and talking about what was going on. And I was going through the same thing that I did when I was a
Yeah.
kid, except this time I didn't have heart disease,
Right. Right.
but I was feeling the way that I did when I was a kid, that
Mhm.
exhausted,
Mhm.
that pushing through every day, that loss of even passion, like not because like I mentally I knew I wanted to do more, and I was doing a lot of great things. I mean, I
Yeah.
was a mom of four. I was leading a business. I had, accomplished a lot of things. I had all the nice hardware to tell me how great I
Yeah.
was,
Absolutely.
you know, and yet I was feeling, in a sense, just the same way, like in a sense, when I was a kid, like we didn't know there was a cure. So even in a sense, loss of hope.
Yeah.
So um come to find out that I was really burnt out. And burnt out
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
one of the reasons for underlying heart disease. Actually, heart disease is the number one killer.
Yes.
A lot of times we look
I
at
learned that.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
heart disease is the number one killer. I mean, you talk about hypertension; they even call it the silent killer
Yes.
because of the blood pressure. So, and this is caused by, a lot of times, yes, it is stress, it is pressure. And I would say a lot of the stress and pressure that was being put on, well, it was being
Mhm.
put on me. It was also not me dealing with a lot of things emotionally, not having that freedom to where, even like I said, as a kid before, maybe like I get to talk to people, and people in a sense like they were commiserated with me, they showed me empathy. I was now an adult and wasn't quite getting that empathy that was there. And I would
Yeah.
say that too. A lot of times we're looking at what we can get, and I was realizing, well, I'm also not giving that empathy that I could at work as well.
Mhm.
So realizing that, so I would say a large part of the heart disease, even in today, in me, again, being a heart patient, having gone through two heart attacks, having gone through all of these things,
Yeah.
can tell you that burnout and work exhaustion is a real thing, and
It
it's
is.
just like heart disease.
Yes.
It can definitely have the same impacts as far as your quality of life. In
Mhm.
my life, I was not enjoying my life. I realized I had a lot of the flutters. I realized I was drained. I realized the energy, all of these other things. So I would say, what can you do?
Mhm.
And maybe you don't have a family history of heart disease, but you could cause heart disease just by not dealing with your burnout, with exhaustion, with not resting, with not really prioritizing and putting the things that are important as important. And I had to do that. There was no medicine for me at that point. I mean, like there was like not, I mean, hey, doctor, can you give me an ablation for this? No. There was like, hey, can I go to the get a medication for that? No. There was really not much because it was all again here.
Right.
A lot of it was in my head. A lot of it not just in my head, but yeah, the reality was that I was also in a system that did not align with who I was. I was a part of a system that, although I wanted better things and I was working everything that I could, the system itself didn't want to change. And although
Mhm.
I did want a better for everything, the systematic way was causing also the frustration of like, hey, I know better, I can do better, and all these things, and feeling this, in a sense, the overall feeling that the system would not let me be better or do better because of the way simply how it was set up. So a lot of my frustration came in there, which is what I see a lot with employees today. I see
Yeah.
that with senior line managers, right? Because a lot of decisions I put on them, and they have to be the ones that get faced, but they didn't have perhaps a say in what the decisions were made,
Absolutely.
but they
Yeah.
have to you yet be the front face of these decisions and have to deal with all the emotions from the people. And that's really where I found myself at. I found myself even like that middle line manager where I don't agree with things, and yet I'm having to execute them, was taking a toll on everything.
Yeah.
And I did. I was suffering from other stuff. I was suffering from like a celiac disease. I was
See.
suffering from
Yeah.
allergies. I was suffering from, hey, ticks in my
Yeah.
face, not ability to rest. I mean, so all of these other things. Um, and I can tell you, like today, I don't have any of that. I am good. I am older. And I probably, I say I would feel way better than that first interview 15 years ago. And so it is possible in that, but I will tell you again that there are things that we're putting in ourselves emotionally that very much feel like a heart attack. So I would tell you what diet you need to look like at. You need to look at your mental diet. That's
Yes.
diet that I would recommend to look
Yes.
at. What are you putting in your head?
Yes.
You
Yes.
know,
Yes. Yes.
that's the if you want a recommendation, mental diet. Let's look at it. Where are your veggies at? Where are you getting your motivation from? Where are you getting your information from?
Yes.
Where are you getting your dessert? Where are you getting your like your relief from? Okay, are those really things that are giving you relief? Where we all need some sweetness in our life. So what's the sweetness
Hmm.
you're putting in your head? And where are your meat and potatoes coming in? Where's your energy coming from? So is it coming from your family? Is it coming from your work? Is it coming from the purpose? Because it should come with your purpose. So let's look at your mental diet. And what is your DNA? For example, there's a lot of talks about, doing diet according to your blood type and all this stuff. Well, I will tell you, your mental diet is in alignment with your purpose.
Yes.
So, how is your purpose doing? How do you know what your purpose is? Because knowing your purpose is kind of like knowing your blood type,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So their mental diet needs to align according to your purpose. And that means that you're not going to be mad that somebody else gets to do that or gets to think that and all that stuff, and you don't. You have a different purpose.
Hmm.
You are called to be different. You're not going to be
Hmm.
able, I have friends that can eat carbs all day long and not gain a single pound. And I get
Yeah.
all mad about it because they can and I can't because I look at it and I just gain weight. Or
Hmm.
I can accept that and accept for the things that I get to do and I do get to eat and be happy
Hmm.
for them.
Absolutely.
Same thing with mental diets. Like, yeah, you can't participate in some things because that's not your calling. That's not your,
That's right.
you can hear maybe Susie so and so was able to watch that movie and be able to go to sleep just fine, but you relive that movie all night long and now you can't sleep because you're afraid somebody's gonna just walk in the door. you know? So what are you watching? What are you listening to? Maybe some people listen to some stuff and it gets them all pumped up. For you, it's like, oh my gosh, you feel like you got completely violated in your head.
Right.
So
Right.
again, it's nothing, everybody is good. Everybody's perfect. Stop looking at what other people are doing to define what your mental diet is. The same way you wouldn't eat what everybody else eats or be allergic to something that somebody else is allergic to because they are allergic and you have no allergies. Again, you need to look at your mental diet, and the mental diet is dictated by your purpose. So that would be my recommendation.
Yeah. Yep. I like that. That's 100% true. Because if you don't have that mental diet, you're gonna be everywhere. And
Yeah.
see me being a type 2 diabetic, that's because I was a reckless eater. My brother's a type 2 diabetic because of stress, which
Hmm.
is strange in a way because he don't eat a lot of sweets. He don't do a lot of those things. For me, I do everything. So that's why I knew I had to change a lot of
Yes.
things
Yes.
because if I didn't make those changes, I would be in serious trouble
Absolutely.
and be in serious trouble.
Absolutely.
But there was something that when you talked about burnout, you broke down every bit of what you dealt with when it came to burnout. What I want to ask you is how was you able to deal with burnout and still be able to succeed to helping others?
Okay. One is being aware.
Yes.
Because I think one of the things is that we don't take the time to be aware, or like I told you, like even as a kid, I was aware I was not well, but I was putting on the mask
Hmm.
so that, ooh, I still get to do this, right?
Hmm.
So I think a lot of times we know.
Hmm.
You just stop on a second.
Yeah.
You're exhausted.
Hmm.
You're running on fumes.
Yeah.
You know that this is not what you were meant to be, but we put on that mask, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
one thing is coming to terms with that. So I
Mhm.
would say, yes, it starts with awareness. Some of you may not know that is burnout. You might think it's your heart or diabetes or something else. No, this is
Yeah.
it's really here. It's really
Yeah.
mental.
Hmm.
Um, the other part, and not to say that mental because it's mental, it's not as heavy. No, that's what kills. I mean, I get it.
Yes. Yeah.
That very much is the trigger for everything else. The
Yeah.
brain is a control for everything.
Hmm.
So, so understanding that that one part, right? Self-awareness is important.
Correct.
But once you do have the self-awareness, the second part is, am I going to continue masking it or am I going to do something about it? So with that part is comes, I didn't get well just by myself. I needed a community, just like the way there was nothing I could do as a kid to cure my heart. I had to depend on a hospital. I had to depend on my parents advocating. I had to depend on, people, my grandmother, I had to depend on people that were there for me. And I think there's a big lie that we do to ourselves saying that I'm going to get through this all on my own. if I just work harder, if I just think less, if I just sleep more, which they're all good things, right?
Mhm.
But it's not going to come to the cure that you really need. So community is huge. For me, that's what happened. I had to start talking about it. I got help. I realized, hey, I cannot do all these things. I had to become intentional. I had to stop.
Mhm.
Um, and that's where I'm talking about people breathing. Stop a second,
Yeah. Hmm.
breathe, because that's when you're able to see things, like become that aware, but also I need help. And we all do. That's not a weakness. That's a
No,
strength of being human.
absolutely.
So
Yes.
asking for that help. Even help is doing this right now, what we're doing, listening
Yes.
to podcasts that
Yes.
can help with talking about these things. Even just again, the part of your dental diet. Maybe you don't have somebody right now, but listening to podcasts that are starting to talk to you and looking at the community even that starts forming around that. I mean, you do have a community if you look into that. So looking at the community, looking at physically who's there with you, looking at opportunities, and also prioritizing. Again,
Mhm.
how did I get into get out of it? I had to get really clear on what really was my purpose
Mhm.
and what was really important for me at that time. At that time, where I wasn't enjoying at all were my kids. I have four little ones, and
Yeah.
I'm like realizing that, hey, this time is going by. I'm not gonna get this time back. So I had to
Yeah.
rearrange because it was a constant guilt, right? Like you're working, and then it was the shame of me working and missing out, and I see everybody else doing stuff, and I can't. So I wasn't gonna be able to do everything. And this is what I really want you, if you're listening to this,
Mhm.
you don't have to be there 100% of the time, but you do have to be there 100% at the right time.
Correct.
So defining what is that right time, even with your kids, you're not going to be able to, but what matters to them? And make sure that you're there for those things that matter. And those things that matter to them may not even be the things that you think matter. And I realized
Yeah.
that too. I thought I had to be for this, like, oh, they didn't even care. But there were some things that they did care about. There were some things that they
Absolutely.
did want me to do. And I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
I wasn't going to do that at all. But understanding that it helped relieve that burnout of having to feel like I had to do everything.
Yeah.
And I don't. I really
Mhm.
don't. But I do have
Mhm.
to do the things that matter to me and the things that matter to the ones that I'm in charge of, right? That was I'm stewarding. In that case, it was my kids. And then later
Mhm.
on, it was my employees. What
Yes.
mattered to my employees? What decisions? I didn't need to be there for every decision. I didn't need to be the one dictating every single thing in the agenda, but I did need to be there for certain things in the agenda. I did need to be there for certain things that needed to be done with the business. So understanding that I'm not going to be there 100% of the time, but what
Mhm.
things do I need to be there for? And again, what's going to tell me that? My purpose. What's going to tell me that is the people that I'm serving.
Mhm.
And it's going to also tell me, well, my health, there's only so much. There's so many hours in the day.
Yeah.
Yes, you do
Absolutely.
deserve to live a life. Again, you
Mhm.
cannot get what you don't have. You were born to win. You were born to enjoy this life. You were born to be fulfilled in this life.
Mhm.
So taking that time, there's nothing guilty. Doesn't, and I think this is the part, Darrell, where it really a lot of times, even if you took away from the medical disease, sometimes you say like, well, I have a history of this and I have a history of that. And, I have a history of cancer. I have a history of
Yeah.
diabetes. I have a history of heart disease. I have a history of all that. That doesn't mean that that's your destiny. Even in the medical, physical body, it doesn't mean, it may be things that you need to be aware of. And right now, like you said, hey, because I know that's a history in my family, I'm now going to take what I need to do, the changes I need to do today to prevent that as much as possible, to before not to trigger. We know that if there's a history of heart disease, guess
Mhm.
what? My kids need to take EKGs earlier in life than other people that may not have heart disease because it's something to keep an eye on in case
Mhm.
it does appear. It doesn't
Correct.
make them guarantee they're going to have heart disease, not at all. But
Mm,
it's something that they do have to look at because of a previous history of mine.
yeah.
But don't take the history from your family, from your community, from whatever you've done as a guarantee of that's what's going to be for you.
Correct.
And there may be things that you have to adapt just to keep an eye on because of the history, but don't take somebody else's history as your destiny. And that's the other part I tell you, because I tell that to my kids too. It's like, because I have
Yes.
heart disease, doesn't mean that you're going to have that. You may have to be watchful. It's something that you're going to, just keep hydrated. Even with heart disease, drink a lot of water. And I would
Yes.
suggest that from anybody. Stay away from caffeine as much as possible, although I do enjoy my coffee or two,
Yeah.
and drink water.
Yeah.
But I tell it to my kids, my story doesn't have to be your story,
Correct.
medically, emotionally, or anything else. And I'd say that with you, with your listeners, do
Hmm.
not take somebody else's story, your community story, your background, even your past story as the definition of who you are or the destiny that you're called to fulfill.
Hmm. And I'm gonna add to your point. Like
Mhm.
I've said this before. Like when I'm on here, I say it before. Now I have a 5. Now the one thing that I've learned when
Mhm.
it came down to me having my daughter, good leadership starts at home.
Yes.
So when good leadership starts at home, that's when it brings into work, right? And learning how to maintain leadership at home and at work brings out success because
Mhm.
you know what can cause issues, what can cause
Mhm.
problems, what can cause like good things, bad things, whatever. It
Mhm.
can, it could do everything for you. If you know and differentiate between, you know, good leadership and bad leadership.
Mhm.
And if you're not being a good leader at home, you're not going to be a good leader
No, absolutely.
at work. And this is exactly why, you know, your success has really boomed. You have
Yeah.
4 kids. Okay.
Yeah. Now
Four
five.
kids. No, 5? Oh
Now
God.
five.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that
See.
was my COVID baby.
Oh
We all
God.
gotta have one.
See.
You
Yeah.
got one. You got
That.
one.
Yeah. Yeah. My 5-year-old. Yeah, that's a couple baby.
Yeah. See,
So
I got
yeah,
one
I
too.
already know.
I got one of those too.
See. Look. Like I mean, let's call out the ones that got 12 kids. How do you manage that? How do you manage that? Like, oh my gosh, like you can't be there everywhere. You just said it. It's like with you having 5, like you really can't be there like 100% of the time. But what does matter is what matters to them, and you be there 100% of the time.
Yeah.
12 kids?
I know. They have a special calling. But yeah, I mean, and I would honestly say, I mean, there's no point in my story, as from being a kid to even being a mom of having five to be able to accomplish what I did. Um, First of all, it didn't happen by myself. Well,
Right.
first, it was God who
Yes.
really every step of the way made a way where there was no way. And the other part, again, the people that came around, every part of my story, even when I totally messed it up, even when I totally caused my own burnout, when I
Yeah.
totally caused a whole bunch of chaos. And this is the amazing part of humanity that we need to look at into and lean into more.
Absolutely.
There is forgiveness, there is empathy, there is
Mm-hmm.
redemption, there is restoration, and I needed it from my team,
Yeah.
and they came in for me. That's why we were able to do what we were able to do. That's why I'm able to do what I'm able to do now. Because of that other complexity part of us human beings where we are still believe in that second chance. We still believe in that third, the fourth,
Mm-hmm.
the fifth, the sixth chance. And
Yeah.
that is what makes us beautiful. That is what makes us in the authority that we have and really transformation. We're the only, really, I mean, think about it, the only mammals, the only animals that can actually choose to transform and be able to accomplish that in our lifetime.
Yeah.
And you don't see that anywhere else. I mean, and that is what makes us different. That is what differentiates us from animals is the authority that
Yeah.
we have to be able to transform in despite of the circumstances, be able to transform me, perhaps not as the circumstance, but I get to transform me so that I
Definitely.
can face that circumstance and even more. In my case, my surgery didn't just save me, it saved 3,000 other kids.
Mm-hmm.
That was 10 years ago. Now,
Yeah, it started with you.
yeah, now I hear people having ablations all the time. But I'm saying, like, you know what? My crisis revealed me. My crisis revealed the abilities of the doctors, the hospital team. It revealed so much. But what did that crisis do? That crisis also offered a cure for so many more that we didn't know about. And I would say that to your listeners too.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid of your crisis. And yes, change sometimes is in response to a crisis. Usually
Mm-hmm.
that's when it happens. Usually when we
Mm-hmm.
need to change because, oh my gosh, the whole floor just came from under me. And
Man.
I either got to change or this is it. But I'm telling you, your crisis is not meant to destroy you. Your crisis is meant to build you. It's meant to reveal you. And it's that crisis when you find out the solution, you don't even know the thousands more that can be impacted, even if just one is impacted. And started, like you said, your family. And being that mom, that dad you've been called to be, that sibling, that spouse, just being able to be there. And you're that much better, honestly, because of the crisis. They were able to get to a cure because of the failures, but they had to have a way to catch those failures. So that's the other thing I'm telling you. You gotta know what a failure is for you. You gotta know what a win is. And you gotta create your diet, your mental diet, according to which one do you want.
Yes. Very important.
Yes,
And that's exactly why they say take risks. You have to take risks because if you
you
don't
do.
take risks,
You.
you will never know what
Mm-mm.
would have happened.
Yeah,
Something good could have happened, something bad could have.
yeah,
But since you took the chances, you took the risk,
yeah,
came out to be a better person, you came out to be a good leader, and you got all of your support system, you built that,
yep.
and you were able to
Build
have a
it.
good team
Mm-hmm.
that supported you through all the means of all of your downfalls. And
Yeah,
that's why it's so important. When you need help, you have to scream on the top of your lungs.
yeah.
You
First
have
one.
to. Yes.
The first one up
Yes.
there.
Yes. Up there, you really have to scream your lungs out, like just like you said. That doesn't make you weak. It
No.
do not make you weak, and that's why it killed me. I don't know if you saw it, but when Dana White came on and he was talking about like specifically men's mental health, he was
Mm,
like, "There's no such thing." I'm like,
yeah.
"What you mean? There's no such thing?" Like, if we have to sit here and be taught to suppress, why
Yes.
are we doing that?
Yeah.
Like, this is where suicides come in. That's
Yeah.
when depression comes in. That's
Yeah.
when anxiety comes in.
Yeah.
If we're not actually,
Addictions. Hmm.
yes, addictions. If we're
Yeah.
sitting here doing all of this to suppress our problems, we're not getting anywhere with that. We got
No.
to stop suppressing these things. We really have to start speaking on what our problems are. If we don't do that, we are in the world of trouble.
Yeah.
Be a Dana White. That's what I like to say. I've talked about that. But yes, don't be that dude because that dude really just was taught the wrong in my
Mm,
because of way.
yeah.
Like there's just no such thing, though. No such thing as men's mental health. There's no such thing as mental health. You're a man, you were taught to suppress it, and get on with your life. I'm sorry. It
Mm.
just don't work. It just don't. That
No,
ain't
there's a time. I mean, again, I'm not a man, but I do know that in the role there's an order, and men we need men. We need men
yeah,
to stand up, and you can. And I know it's just by universal law, you cannot get what you don't have.
exactly.
So I know there's a lot of times where I've needed empathy and I've needed a warrior for me.
Yeah.
And if a man is so beaten down that he can't fight, I won't have what I need. And he's so beaten or suppressed that he no longer feels, I won't receive the empathy that I need. And I do need that from my leaders. I need that
Yes.
the warrior and I need
Yes.
the empathetic, the one that can relate to what I'm going through. And men very much give that. That's part of their role.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I like to ask one last question. I try to, if
Yeah.
things come. But I'm gonna ask you this last one. So, with everything that we talked about, everything, burnout, taking risks and stuff like that, what would you say to anyone right now that's listening? What would you say to them that is struggling in that way? What would you say to
Alignment. Alignment with your purpose is number one. Sometimes we confuse with the fogginess or the struggle because we have too much.
them? Mhm.
You may not even know what to get rid of right now because everything looks so chaotic. So what you can do though is align with again the purpose, with who you know, and even sometimes we don't even see the purpose, and all I can see is what's my responsibility right now, and even just aligning with starting there. What is it that really matters? Like I said, what is that right time that I need to be there? What's that 100%? I mean, well, not all the time, but what is the one thing I need to be there for? The vital parts. So I would say aligning to that, because once you do that, you'll have the clarity to see what belongs, what doesn't belong. So number one, in anything, you gotta look at that alignment. And for me, that alignment came first from up there, from
Yes,
the Lord.
yes,
And with that is my mind, the beat method, believe what it was I believing in my mind. What did I have? I couldn't afford to get one more thing. There was no other medicine. There was no nothing in my job. You're like,
mhm,
no. But what I do have something. So what do I have that I can engage with? And what is that small action that's gonna propel me forward a little bit? Again, the smallest of action has is greater than the greatest of intentions.
yes,
And what is that transformation I want to see? So believe, engage, act, transform, beat. Make your heart beat
yes,
today. That's a quick alignment. And what are you going to beat to? The transformation. What is that purpose? And just getting rhythm with it. And you'll see what doesn't belong, what needs to belong. But first of all, what can I get rid of?
absolutely. And this is why I wear this on the occasion. Salute bracelet. It's a reminder. You see that?
Ah, yes, Philippians 4:13. I love it.
I have to wear this as a reminder. Now I can't wear it at work because it'll break. So
Mm,
because I do a lot of strenuous physical, lifting and stuff like that. But
yeah,
yes, this is why, like, when I come home, I have to put that on. That's just
yeah,
a constant reminder of, you know, strength within yourself.
yeah,
And you literally went through this whole podcast and you talked about your strength. And it's amazing on how your strength really came through. And
thank you.
you were able to, you know, um, get better, feel better, maybe heal.
Yeah,
You went through all of that, and that's why it's important that you continue sharing your story because that's very important. Because there's
yeah,
a lot of people that doubt, a lot of people that don't even give it a second thought,
yeah,
and you're the reason the guy said your time ain't done.
hmm,
Your time ain't done,
yeah,
and you just made a bunch of miracles for other people, saving lives. And I think
yeah.
that's very, very spectacular what you've done.
And I would say this one thing is,
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of permission to stay where I was.
Yes.
It would may have made sense. I was a kid, right? Like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
and anybody later on in life would have given me a pass. Like, oh yeah, well, you grew up in a hospital, you had a heart problem.
Mm-hmm.
But you already have a
Mm-hmm.
permission from above, permission from the greatest authorities. And that is a permission to be more than a conqueror. And that is a permission to be an ambassador. And that's the first permission that we need to listen to,
Yes.
not what other people say, even though we may have a reason, even though we do have excuses or, hey, it would have made sense,
Mm-hmm.
but you have a greater permission and that's yours to take.
Yes. And that's important. And
Hmm.
that's what most people don't really understand.
Yeah.
And this is why we have to do this, to get people to understand that. And
Yeah.
listen, you've done phenomenal things. And I
Yeah.
saw that and I'm like, oh man, I might have to I won't bring her on. I won't bring her on.
For sure.
Because I'm literally like, I'm done for the year with my podcast. I don't start back up to October. I was like, you know what? I'm still gonna keep on bringing people in and having a conversation anyway. We gonna keep on going, and that's why I'm like, you know what? If that's the case now, I might as well continue to doing it because I just ended it Friday, and
Oh well.
then yeah, I just ended my last show on Friday, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna bring them anyway. Let's go. Let's do this. Like the story never ends.
It never
People
ends.
have stories.
Yeah,
It never ends.
yeah,
So
it's true.
let's just keep on going. And you started off just perfectly. You literally had a story that you just had to share.
Yeah.
And it's phenomenal. It's
Thank
phenomenal.
you.
But
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you coming on. Yes, I appreciate you coming on, sharing your story. I appreciate you, Hannah. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you, Daryl. Thanks for having me.
No problem.